Welcome back, everyone. So it's been a long time coming. We've been waiting for a long year before I allowed myself to spend money on wheels and tires to make sure not only that I was going to make the most use of them, but that I'd actually not be throwing money at something that I didn't want to do long term. But now that we've caught the bug and we're going to be racing a lot this year, we've decided to go ahead and get some new wheels and tires for the 8.6. So these are my Oz Racing Algatera HLT wheels. These are going to be fantastic. These are all a square setup of a 17 by 8 plus 38, I believe. They are wrapped in a 225 45 17 Hankook RS4. So because of the street class that we run in, we're required to run a tire that is 200 or less or more treadwear, sorry. And these tires come in very hot contention next to the Advan 8009s, but they come in at a price point that's much less. And when I was also doing wheels alongside tires, I figured the best thing to do would be to go for a cheaper option and upgrade later. And the RS4s come on great recommendation by people who use them in endurance racing, and how they wear like iron. Your problem being that you have to start worrying about heat cycling the tire before you actually run out of actual rubber and you wear them down too far. So these are going to be fantastic. Weighed the wheels, 7.25 kilos. The rubber itself is another 11. So we're looking roughly 18 kilos a wheel. Now, interestingly enough, when I weighed these against a very well-worn, down to the cord set of stock rims, weighed roughly 18 kilos as well. So we haven't necessarily gained anything in the weight department from stock, but we've gained a lot of width and a lot of tire in saying that. We're running, those were all season tires that came on the car and on stock rims, and add maybe a kilo of rubber lost. Plus the tire is just much less capable compared to what we're going to be running for the rest of the year. I think we can be pretty happy with those weights. Now, when we compare it to what we're running on the car, this is a Hustler 18 by 8.5, and it is wrapped by a Pilot Sport 5. The Pilot Sport 5 was a fantastic tire for me to start with. It was quite cheap, much cheaper than a 4 or a 4S, but also great all-weather tire. I mean, I just run these in Morgan Park, as you saw, and we did really, really well. We've done probably 10 events or more on these tires where we've done multiple sessions of 5 laps or so, of at least 3 hot laps. So these tires have been through the ringer. Part of that is because I'm learning tire pressures, but also part of that is that we've just been flogging these wheels on stock camber for a long time. What I want to try and answer with this video as well, how much of an impact does running a smaller overall diameter wheel make to the performance of your vehicle? Everyone is going to say that a smaller overall diameter helps with your acceleration, but you suffer at the top end. And it's why you see tons of Honda boys running really small, like 14, 15-inch wheels. Whereas currently we're going from a 18-inch wheel down to a 17. Now a 17 is what is run stock on a Toyota 8.6. So we're going back to stock. And spoilers, I actually have run the stock tires and wheel setup and noticed that there was a significant benefit in terms of acceleration. And there was more pickup at the top end. Just felt like the car was a little more lively, but also I felt like there was a lot less grip running a 17 by 7 and running like a 205 tire. So what we're going to do now is we want to validate the argument of larger versus smaller overall diameter wheels. But to test that, we're going to go from a rolling start 20 to 100 time. Yes, the PS5s are going to have less grip than the Hankooks, but by starting with a rolling start, hopefully we don't have to worry about grip off the line. Once we're moving, we should be able to sort of smooth out some of that difference. Obviously, I'm expecting the 17s to be faster, but it'll be interesting to know how much faster. And then later in this video, we'll go to the track and we'll see how much faster this combo set does around Queensland Raceway compared to my fastest possible times I ever achieved on the Pilot Sport 5. So let's get to it. Here we are. We're currently on the side of the road, closed private road. We're going to do a 20 roll and we're going to go to 100, all in second gear. compare that time to the Oz Racing 17-inch wheels compared to my 18-inch Hustlers. Hopefully that will take away the question of sheer grip that the RS4 clearly has over the PS5s, even in a brand new fresh state, and focus more on just like the overall rolling diameter of the tire. So let's get after it. So I am in second gear right now, and I'm at 20, and I'm floored. Again to make sure that we get a quality reading. Now obviously we're fighting lugging through the car, but I don't really have a way of testing this without staying the car in a single gear to make sure that we're not, you know, I'm not making a mistake in my shift and I'm making it just on the car. So let me bring it up to a 20 roll and flat. Two runs. So let's go put on some different wheels and tires and see if it makes a difference. Just done our 20 to 100 run in second gear just now on the Hustlers, and we're going to change tires over now. But first, what I thought we'd do is have a bit of a science experiment and actually compare the weights between these wheels, which I have no idea what their weight is, compared to my new set. So if we chuck this on, 18.65. And I imagine the weight won't change too much between the rest of them. So let's swap them over and see how it goes. So now that we've got one of the Hustlers off, let's have a look at how much it weighs. 20.8 kilos. That is a pretty heavy girl. It might not seem a lot, 2 kilos, or a little less than 2 kilos, but unsprung weight is a massive deal when it comes to wheels and tire combos, anything outside of the suspension geometry as far as I know. So 2 kilos right now doesn't seem like a lot, but it's going to make a huge difference to the car. So now we've established that, let's get the rest of these wheels and tires on and we'll do our run. New wheels and tires are on, and as you saw in the last clip, we've saved about 2 kilos now in total weight across all 4 corners, about 8 kilos, nearly 9 kilos. So that should make a huge difference on the track, but in a straight line speed test, let's see how that goes. So, second gear, rolling, and go.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake.
The crazy part, how much stickier these tires are. You can hear all the rocks being flung up into the guards as we drive along, just because it's so much stickier. Alrighty, we're at a 20 roll again, just to make sure our test results are the right. And go. Not too bad. So I don't know what the results are until you do, so we'll display them on the screen here. Welcome to some of the best infographics you'll ever see on YouTube. In fact, this is just an Excel sheet. And you know, being an engineer by trade, I gotta love a spreadsheet on a Sunday night at 8:20, but I've decided I've used this as a way to sort of capture all the different bits of information, put my thoughts onto paper, as they say, about the differences between the wheels and tires and why you should make certain decisions or not. First of all, we did go faster on the Oz Racing wheel and tire setup. Let's go. Huge for the bank account, huge for the ego, huge for my lap times. Didn't waste any money. Fantastic. The next thing to note is that it was by roughly 3/10, so it was substantially faster averaged over the 2 runs on each setup. Now, if we get into the technical details, you can see that the Hustlers at the top, well, they're an 18 by 8.5. They weigh about 20.8 kilograms each, as you saw before, and that led us to around 11 seconds, 20 to 90 runtime. Now, you'll notice on the right-hand side, I've got the overall rolling diameter, and the overall rolling diameter is really not that different between the two of them. Only 10 millimeters, and that's also not accounting for the loss of rubber on the very much well-worn Pilot Sport 5s on the Hustlers and the brand new tires on the Oz Racings. I would argue that it's much less than 10, but even argument's sake, leaving it at 10, nearly 11 millimeters, we could say that the overall rolling diameter doesn't change that much, and therefore the impact on the gearing is not going to be that much. Versus the Oz Racing tires and wheel combo, which sits at a cheeky 18.65 kilos. Well, between the two sets, we've lost nearly 2.2 kilos across all 4 corners of the car. We've lost nearly 9 kilos in total of unsprung weight. Now, rotational inertia is a big thing, especially on these low horsepower cars. If you have a Miata, if you have a Honda, everyone will tell you that they use these smaller 14-inch, 15-inch wheels. Now, I do think there is a big part of it comes down to the overall diameter and therefore the gearing of the wheel and tire combo. But I also think that the reason everyone buys Enki RPF ones and similar lightweight wheels is because intuitively or not, they've determined that their car feels quicker when there is less weight, when there is less rotational inertia, right? The resistance to stopping or the resistance to speeding up because of how heavy the object is. And so I would attribute most of the gains that we see here today to strictly just reducing my rotational inertia by saving 2 kilos and more from each of the 4 corners of my car. So if you're looking at this video and I've managed to clickbait a title enough that it suddenly gets more than 100 views like I seem to average, then you might be looking at a wheel and tire combo for your own car. Now, I will say that this is decidedly less impactful unless you're on the very cutting edge performance in a high-powered car, but it's a lot more important when you're in a slow 150 horsepower on a good day car, like a Miata, like an 8.6, like a various Hondas and Civics, etc. So I would argue that the biggest thing to consider when buying new wheels and tires is the rotational mass, rather than necessarily the overall diameter. Going between a 17 and 18 in this scenario seems to have very little impact when you consider the amount of difference there is in overall weight. Now, I will make a mention about the width of tires. Now, there's a really, really good video out there, and I'll flash it on the screen here. Fantastic video, 100% recommend you go watch. And it compares a varying range of combinations of tire widths and tire dimensions, radiuses, and puts them down on lap times with various drivers to see if there was a consistent trend to build the fastest overall wheel width. And they found out that there was 2 fastest options: a correctly supported sidewall in a 225 in this scenario, and the most amount of tire you could fit inside the fender, which ended up being like a 255 or something like that. And both those tires ended up performing equal. And that's what we've tried to target here today with this setup, is rather than stuffing the most amount of tire, let's go for minimal resistance, maximum grip, and try and find that peak. And I think we've done that. And the only way you're going to know is by watching part 2 of this super series, because apparently I'm a professional YouTuber now, where we take this car to the track, and spoilers, we do really well. But to bide you over until later this week when I hit upload on that, here is a quick teaser along with the new Boss Vision Racing helmet cam mount. Cheers, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.